Today, Senator Jim DeMint surprised many when he announced he's resigning from his Senate seat at the end of the year.
The 61-year-old said that he's leaving to take over as the head of the Heritage Foundation, a long-time and well-respected conservative think tank in our nation's capital. He says he believes he can do more outside the Senate than he can do on the inside. DeMint is on his second term, which isn't up until 2016.
I've played a role in stocking the Senate with solid conservatives who are younger and brighter and better spokesmen than I am. And so I know I'm leaving the Senate better than I found it, with some real leaders. But this is an opportunity to do more to get the American people behind them. If we don't do that, it's going to be hard to keep people here in Washington who are promoting the right ideas.
Well, DeMint and Senator Lindsey Graham are South Carolina's two senators. Graham says our state's delegation is losing a good leader.
My reaction for the people of South Carolina is you lost a great, strong conservative voice, someone who's championed the conservative cause and represented our state with distinction, sincerity, and a great deal of passion. On a personal level, I've lost my colleague and friend. Jim and I have known each other for almost 20 years now, and I think we've done a pretty darn good job for South Carolina, at times playing the good cop, the bad cop, but always trying to work together, and what differences we've had have been sincere.
News 19's Nate Stewart has been covering this story for us today. Nate, this decision doesn't come as much of a surprise to some political science experts.
No, Darcy, it sure doesn't. Jim DeMint's decision, recent announcement that he would not seek re-election, it sure doesn't come as a surprise to many political science experts. But one expert does say that we could have a new U.S. senator as early as January. U.S. Senator Jim DeMint's decision to resign his seat in Washington may have been a surprise to some in South Carolina, but not to USC political science professor Mark Tompkins.
Although the timing of it, of course, is a surprise.
Tompkins says there are many factors that show DeMint wasn't as successful as he wanted to be in the Senate, one being the former U.S. Senator only got 61% of the vote against Alvin Green.
What he seems to care about most is his views on the desirability of smaller government. And the Heritage Foundation, of course, is a platform for him to work on those views.
But that's the dynamic of politics.
Charles Bierbauer, the dean of the Mass Communications Department at USC, poses the question, could DeMint have more impact as a lame duck senator or on a conservative platform like the Heritage Foundation?
Major, important piece of the conservative apparatus there. So he has a platform. He'll have a soapbox on which to stand, and he won't have to share it with 99 other senators.
There's not a specific timeline for Governor Haley to appoint a new U.S. senator. Bierbauer says whomever is appointed will have to run in a special election in 2014, then for re-election in the normal cycle in 2016.
It's going to be a dynamic process that we need to watch over the next 4 years to see who is going to be in that particular Senate seat representing the state.
Another day in politics in South Carolina that could stretch into the new year before DeMint's seat gets filled. And no matter who is appointed, it will make for an interesting election year in 2014. We'll have a special election for this Senate seat as well as Senator Graham's seat, along with the governor races as well. In the Information Center, Nate Stewart, News 19, WLTX.
Nate, thank you. DeMint will leave at the end of the year. He will have one final major decision before leaving office. He will cast a vote on whatever deal is reached between the White House and Congress on the so-called fiscal cliff. Governor Haley is tasked with choosing DeMint's replacement. Her choice will then serve until the next major election, as Nate just mentioned, that will come in 2014. Some names that are being tossed around as possible replacements are former State Attorney General Henry McMaster and 1st District Congressman Tim Scott. The governor could also levy for the job herself. Meanwhile, Congressman Scott thanked DeMint for his service in a statement released earlier today, saying his commitment to conservative principles leaves a true legacy, and I have greatly enjoyed getting to know and working with him over the past 2 years. While 5th District Congressman Mick Mulvaney said he was surprised about DeMint's resignation, he goes on to say DeMint has been a strong conservative voice and he leaves big shoes to be filled. He added that he has faith Governor Haley will appoint someone with character and leadership. And conservatism, Senator DeMint has provided South Carolinians for the last 8 years. 6th District Congressman Jim Clyburn said Senator DeMint's resignation was not a surprise. He had said he would not seek re-election, and rumors have circulated in Washington for the past several months that he was headed to a conservative think tank. Clyburn added that joining the Heritage Foundation will allow DeMint to more broadly apply his vision to the country's political discourse.
Here's a little background now on Jim DeMint. Before serving in office, he founded the DeMint Group. That's a research firm in Greenville. He first started serving as a congressman representing the upstate in 1999. DeMint then replaced Fritz Hollings in the Senate in 2005. He spent his time pushing for smaller government. His committees include commerce, science, transportation, banking, housing, urban affairs, and foreign relations. The Heritage Foundation was founded in 1973. It's a research and educational think tank whose mission is to formulate and promote conservative public policies based on the principles of free enterprise and limited government. Their vision is to build an America where freedom, opportunity, prosperity, and civil society flourish. There has been speculation that Governor Haley may want that Senate seat herself and would step down, moving Lieutenant Governor Glenn McConnell into that seat, who could then appoint her to the Senate. But Haley says she's not interested in doing that. But it has happened once before in our state. Governor Donald Russell stepped down in 1965 following the death of Senator Olin Johnson. Now, Russell was then appointed to that Senate seat by the new governor. Once that seat came up for a vote in a special election in 1966, he lost to Fritz Hollings in the Democratic primary.